It was just another ordinary night in Charlotte, North Carolina. Iryna Zarutska boarded the Blue Line train, heading home after her shift at Zeppeli's pizzeria. She wore khaki pants, a dark shirt, and tucked her long blonde hair neatly under her work cap. Like everyone else on the train, she kept to herself, eyes down, scrolling through her phone, as the carriage rolled past Scaly Bark Station. Just a few miles from downtown, she chose an empty row and sat quietly, unaware that just across from her sat a man in a red hoodie, a man whose mind had long since fallen into darkness. His name was Decarlo Brown Jr. For a moment, the two were just strangers, sharing a late night ride. Then, without warning, Brown reached inside his clothes and pulled out a knife. He looked out the window, calm, almost detached, as if he were reconsidering. But then, in one sudden motion, he lunged forward. What followed would send shockwaves across two continents. This is the case of Iryna Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee whose final ride became a national reckoning. Before we dig in, I upload true crime breakdowns once or twice a week. So hit that subscribe button and join the family. Iryna Zarutska was born May 22, 2002, in Kyiv, Ukraine. She studied art restoration and held dreams of a life built around creativity. When Russia invaded Ukraine, her family made a painful decision: remain or flee. In 2022, Iryna, her mother, sister, and brother relocated to the United States. Her father stayed behind, constrained by martial law which barred men of fighting age from leaving Ukraine. In America, she moved to the Charlotte area. She enrolled at Rowan Cabarrus Community College, worked in pizzerias, studied English, and learned to drive. Neighbors remember her as warm, polite, and striving. Her family described her as the glue, someone who held relationships together, someone who hoped to give back. Her life was modest yet full of purpose. She did not deserve to become a statistic. On the 22nd of August 2025, at about 9:50 p.m. EDT, Iryna stepped onto the Lynx Blue Line at East-West Boulevard Station. Cameras show her walking in, choosing a seat. Directly in front of Decarlo Brown Jr., everything seems to be routine. People scrolling through their phones, minding their own business. Over the next 4 minutes, Brown appears restless. Then, with no visible warning, he draws a foldable pocket knife and lunges from behind, striking her 3 times. Once in the neck, others in her thigh or arm. She remained conscious, semi-conscious, for nearly a minute. She tried to move. She collapsed. She bled out in that train car. Brown calmly walked toward the front. Removed his sweater. Pressed it to his injured hand. And exited the car. He wandered aimlessly through the station, like nothing had happened, while inside the train, panic began to spread. One by one, passengers snapped out of shock, fumbling for their phones, their trembling hands dialing 911.
911, do you need police, fire, or medic?
We on the train, this man just stabbed this woman for no reason. I was there like a daughter.
You said a male stabbed someone for no reason? Do they need medic?
Yeah, it's on the train. She bleeding.
Okay, stand by with medic. Is the person that stabbed someone, are they still there?
They got off the train.
Okay, we're gonna tell them away and they'll come in as quickly as they can, okay?
There's a woman stabbed and she's bleeding all the way through. And she lost a lot of blood. There's a woman in the train got stabbed and she's bleeding right now.
Within minutes, paramedics stormed the platform, doing everything they could to save Iryna's life. But deep down, everyone watching knew it was already too late.
Yeah, I think she's dead, man. I think the girl might be dead, man. The fire person's got here, but there's no police presence. And the guy that did it is standing over here on the ramp. Hey, man, look, the guy that stabbed her was over here on the other platform, man, on his hand wrapped up. Which guy is the guy? He got dreadlocks on the other side of the ramp. He got his hand wrapped up in the red shirt, man. He stabbed her right over here with the knife and everything, dude. The police ain't got here yet. His fingers like hanging off his hand. Okay. He got dreadlocks, he got on blue jeans, a black t-shirt, and his hand is wrapped up. He got long dreads, and he's walking back and forth on the platform. Is he wearing an orange hoodie? No, he got a black t-shirt on.
On the platform, he was confronted by waiting officers and taken into custody. No prior interaction, no connection between them. Just a moment of terror captured on camera. Sadly, Iryna was pronounced dead at the scene.
I want to go live to CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller, who's joining us from New York. John, what do we know, first of all, about this horrible attack and the alleged assailant?
Well, this happened back on August 22nd. The assailant, who's charged with murder in this case, is Decarlo Brown, 34 years old. He's got 14 arrests in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. He just finished a 6-year stint for an armed gunpoint robbery and got out of jail a couple of years ago. And what we're trying to learn is more about what his encounters with law enforcement on the street have been since the time he was released from prison up until this incident.
The suspect, Decarlo Brown Jr., 34. He grew up with his mother and sister, although he has been described as a normal, loving and caring child.
Good young man. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Mommy, don't pick that box up. I got it. That's the side that I miss.
Court records show a long criminal history, 14 prior arrests in Mecklenburg County for robbery, larceny, breaking and entering, misuse of 911 calls, and other offenses. In 2015, he was convicted for armed robbery and spent time in state prison until 2020. After release, his family reported significant behavioral changes. His mother and sister say he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and believed delusional narratives that man-made materials were controlling him, or that government chips had been implanted in his body.
He's been saying it so long. You know, I want the police. The police is telling me what to eat. The police telling me how to act. But never hurt somebody. No. It got really bad when he came in, and he was very aggressive when he came in the home. We're like, hey, what's wrong with you? He came in as if someone was after him.
According to his mother, that's when he made the choice. He quit his meds, walked away from the routines that kept him grounded, and slipped into the shadows of the city's shelters. It was there, among the forgotten and the unseen, that his mind began to fracture, setting in motion everything that would explode it.
My husband and I advised him, if you stay with the medicine, we can help you. But if you don't stick with the medication, then there's no need for you being here. So he decided he didn't want to take the medicine. He wanted to go to the shelter. And that's where we dropped him off at.
His sister, Tracy Brown, told media he once broke down a door and bit her in 2022. She claims he believed Iryna had been reading his mind.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the face.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they gotta investigate the material my body is supposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they gotta investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine, she's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
It ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
Whether mental illness drove him or became the lens through which he radicalized is a question investigators continue to debate. A man haunted by voices, intersecting with a woman pursuing quiet dreams, their collision altered communities. During a speech on religious liberty, President Donald Trump paused to acknowledge what had happened, and to call it what it was, senseless. Iryna's uncle, his voice shaking on national TV, said she didn't deserve to go like that, not after everything she had already survived.
I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic. Just got up and started. It's right on the tape. Not really watchable because it's so horrible, but just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
For the first time, we're hearing from the family of Iryna Zarutska.
She didn't deserve that. Nobody does. Our country has to change on how we deal with these situations, and you know that requires our leadership to take action, and I need for them to take action. We can't just keep doing it the same way.
That is her uncle speaking with Good Morning America.
Across the city and far beyond it, vigils spread like wildfire. In parks, churches, and street corners, people gathered, strangers united by disbelief. Candles flickered in the wind, prayers drifted into the night, and faces glowed with quiet grief. Everyone was asking the same question: how could this happen here, to her? And as the nights went on, the city's sorrow became a plea.
Iryna Zarutska's name echoed through South End Charlotte Monday night. Dozens of people gathered for a Mecklenburg County GOP-led vigil in her honor.
This tragic loss deeply touches every heart and every soul here present, and even wider. And it will take time for these wounds to begin to heal.
Candles, roses, prayers. Strangers stood side by side, like Kimberly Fahey.
This has impacted not just the Charlotte area, but the entire world.
A call for change, for peace, for a better country than the one that took her away. Transit officials confirmed the car had no security. Brown had no ticket. Security was present in another car, not hers. Attorney General Pamela Bondi called it an unforgivable act and pledged to prosecute Brown to the fullest extent.
Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention: the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska. Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian refugee who had recently fled her country for a chance at a safer life and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America. But tragically, a public transportation system in a major American city was more dangerous than the active war zone that she left. But while we extend our thoughts and prayers, we must also seek justice for this crime and call attention to this heinous incident.
In the North Carolina legislature, House Bill 307, Iryna's Law, was fast-tracked. It proposed reforms, elimination of cashless bail for violent crimes, stronger sentencing for attacks on public transit, among others. On the federal side, Decarlo Brown was charged with violating US Code Section 1992 for causing death on a mass transportation system, punishable by life in prison or even death. The case has become a flashpoint in debates over mental health, transit safety, crime policy, and how society treats the vulnerable and the disturbed alike. Could more security, earlier intervention, or stronger mental health systems have saved Iryna? Observers note that Charlotte's Blue Line lacked uniform security coverage. Cameras were abundant, but reactive, not preventative. Critics argue that mental health resources in NC are stretched thin, involuntary commitment criteria are restrictive, psychiatric beds scarce. Others cite the paradox of civil liberties versus preventative detention. When do we act before tragedy? Iryna's murder forced the country to ask how many red flags must fly before we leap to protect. Because by then, separation between the protected and the persecuted had vanished. Iryna Zarutska's story was one of hope. A refugee, a student, a worker chasing a second chance. She was not a headline. She was a person with connections, dreams, and vulnerabilities. Her death yielded laws, debate, new safeguards. But policy is a scaffold after grief, memory remains. We are left with questions. How do we protect the vulnerable? How do we balance rights with risk? If this story moves you, share, speak her name. And in the comments, what one reform would you demand first? Mental health, transit security, or criminal justice overall? Thanks for watching.